Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kostuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from beautiful Kolkata. This is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kostuba Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Still in India here. Kostuba live in Mayapur, the Holy Dham, and me and Mara in Calcutta. I still say Calcutta. Kolkata.
Cold cuts?
Kolkats. On the bank of the River Ganga. We actually walked to the temple today. We went for a japa walk to the temple. It was really nice.
Which
I have
temple?
so many fond memories of staying in Calcutta when I was a young man. I talk about them in my book a lot. Got some unsavory memories as well.
That's the Calcutta
Book Fair story. But yeah, how are you, Kostub?
Good. Very good.
Another day for Q&A. If you're listening, welcome. If you're new to this on Facebook, welcome. I want to make a quick announcement. One quick announcement is, my audiobook is out, but here's what I'm feeling with the audiobook. Did someone just press a thumbs down, or was that me? Okay, my audiobook is out. It's sort of top secret. Wasn't supposed to be released yet. It's out, and me and Mara are walking around the cities listening to it, and I'm thinking this is a very good introduction, even though it's, my life story. It's a great introduction book into Krishna consciousness. And it's not told from a very preachy way. It's just sort of my experience. So first of all, I urge everybody to get it, but I order you. No, I think it's good that you should get one. If you already ordered one, order one for a friend. Get one for a friend that you think, you know what, I think you're going to like this. You can go to Amazon.com and just get 2 of them instead of 1 of them.
Why not 3? Why not just go ahead and go for 3?
It's a good book to distribute, especially if you've got a person, it's their birthday. And you don't have to say, like, I want you to become a Hare Krishna. But you could say, hey, my friend wrote this book. I think you'd like it. Something like that. Someone like, hey, I really find this a gripping tale of spiritual adventure. But unlike Radhanath Swami's book, Journey Home, it's my journey home. But Radhanath Swami's like, and then I slept under a tree for 30 days and fasted for 60 days and threw all my clothes in a river. Mine was sort of like my struggles going to India and second guessing myself and struggle controlling my senses. So in that sense, it's sort of like a different, maybe people could relate to it who have similar issues as me.
Okay.
Anyway, that's what I'm doing.
Sounds good.
But it's fun. But if you do get the audiobook, it's very funny because I take on different voices. Matter of fact, by tomorrow, I'll be taking on your voice.
Did you do me wrong? Did you do me wrong?
Did I do you wrong? No, I did you. Hi, I'm Kostuba. I wouldn't hurt a fly. I couldn't punch my way out of a paper bag. No, I probably did some sophisticated voice for you. All right. Are you ready to dive into cues, sir? Or Miss Mary, you got a question? What do you got? You got a
I don't have any questions. I got some announcements.
announcements. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, we have Bhakti recovery group meetings today at 9:30 a.m. and 7 p.m. Eastern time. I should also mention that if you live in Alachua or in Mayapur, there's some in-person meetings happening there. So reach out to Bhakti recovery group at gmail.com for more information if you're looking for a local meeting.
Got some feedback on the message board. They're enjoying my voices in the book.
Your book is very well read. I was
Well
very
read.
impressed. Yeah.
Thank
I mean, I knew it was well written because I'd read it previously, but listening to it, it's really fun to listen to.
It was fun to play the characters, that's for sure.
Great.
Hari Bhajan Das. Kostuba Das. Wow.
I haven't gotten to that part. We haven't gotten to that.
We haven't got to Kostuba yet. Okay. So the first question, Mr. Kostuba, is from your friend of mine, Neil.
Neil.
Oh, there's a different. Oh, this is Neil from Memphis, Neil. Okay.
Yes.
I am an adopted person. And for many years, 20 plus, I have wrestled with strong desire to connect with my birth mother. Several years back, through the appropriate state agency, I was able to learn her identity and even some details surrounding my birth. However, no connection was ever made because she chose the contact veto option once informed of my interest in such. Ouch, that probably hurt. This was her legally binding right, which I have to abide by and respect. As you can imagine, it was beyond disappointment to me, and I was left really struggling to understand why things played out this way. Until that point, I had little more than a curiosity about who my birth family was, but because of the insistence of a mentor, I began taking steps to gather info. I began to feel that I was supposed to do this and started projecting an outcome much more like a reunion on Oprah than the hard door slam in the face. After learning more about reincarnation and karma, I'm probably more confused by this experience because there seems to be a natural desire to make this connection. I wish I could find someone else in the Bhakti community that has had a similar experience. I doubt a non-adopted person can truly relate to this type of longing. I'm obviously supposed to learn from this situation and perhaps take some action, but I'm now 60 and my birth mother is 80, so time is an issue. This situation may be more than what could be addressed on a Wisdom of the Sages Q&A. But if you can offer any wisdom that might provide me a better understanding or a little peace on this topic, I will be even more in your debt. Kind regards, Neil from Memphis, who I think is on the show today. I would go into all out private eye mode, Neil. Wouldn't you, Kostuba?
No, not at all.
Super sleuth. I would be like in a car parked in front of oh, come on. I'd have like photographs, set up a camera across, rent the house across from hers, take photos, knock on the door, pretend you're selling something. Hi. What would you do?
I wouldn't do any of that.
Come on. Maybe Neil said you won't be able to understand. Maybe you don't understand the burning desire.
Yeah, well, Neil said, it was interesting what Neil said. Let me see if I can find that here again. Said, he called it, what did he call it? Says you can imagine. What did he say? He said that it was like a yearning. What word did he use?
I don't know. I'm lost now.
I doubt a non-adopted person can truly relate to this type of longing.
Longing.
Yeah. That may be a fact, but everybody's longing, Neil. Isn't it true, Raghunath?
Ouch. Everybody's longing.
Well, no, for real. That longing, it's a unique experience. Something that I don't know about. What it's like to find out that you've been adopted, that to find out that your mother, that you weren't raised by your mother. And that mother's love is like, it's a foundation upon which
Mm.
the child's emotional stability and their psychological development, it's all built on that right from the beginning, even before you're born, And so that connection, it may be the realest thing that we kind of feel,
Mm.
it's like we said, the foundation. When I heard this question, what it made me think was that, now, of course, Neil is talking about this in relation to bhakti and saying, I wish I knew someone that practices bhakti that really understood exactly what I was going through. But the idea is, in bhakti, there's this bit of a paradox, right? That
Yeah.
in the bhakti and the yoga culture in general, there's a whole social background to it. It's not the essence of the bhakti practice, but it's supportive of the bhakti practice, that we want a stable environment. And therefore, things like the dharma of motherhood and the dharma of fatherhood are glorified, in our sacred texts. And that the responsibility that one has when they take that role is seen as very important, because it's from that support,
Mm.
from that love, that the child has a kind of a balanced emotional life, right? They feel when one feels that security and that love, it gives them a peaceful mind. And it's that peaceful mind that is, in one sense, is going to be easy. That peaceful mind, and this is something that you and I discuss a lot, Raghunath, right? It's like the peaceful mind isn't the goal, but the peaceful mind is the fertile ground in which one can approach the goal, which
Sure.
for the Bhakti-yogi is Krishna Prema. That's what we're aiming for, the love of Krishna. So that stability, that emotional stability, that's what, Neil, that's what you're kind of, that's the longing, right? But really, that longing for what you feel like you missed out on, it's really just a displaced longing for the real mother, the real father, Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, right? It's like that there is that's the longing that everyone has. And that's what we're missing. And even if you met your mother,
Right.
that's not going to go away.
No, it could even be worse. It's like, well, what have I done? Why did I open up this can of worms?
Yeah.
Also, the woman could be totally steeped in shame also.
Well, my guess is when you're 80 years old and this is coming at you right now, it's like, I'm ready to leave. I'm ready to go. I'm not ready to start my whole life again and go backwards 60 years. I could imagine it'd be very difficult for a woman to do that, right? You're preparing to leave this world, and then you get drawn into the deepest, most heavy emotional part of your life, and you got to go 60 years back. And as you're saying, with probably likely different types of feeling, maybe feelings of regret, maybe feelings of shame,
Humiliation.
yeah. I mean, it could be very, very difficult thing to ask of one. But you see, here's the thing, is that if we look at how the yoga culture is designed, it's, on one hand, it's designed to give that stability, the stability of a stable home environment, of a stable, loving home environment. But it's
Sure.
also designed in a way that towards the end of life, you let go of it all. And actually, you enter the unstable, right? Because, if you become too comfortable in that warm home, in those warm relationships, you never get down to what can be the cold, stark reality that in this material world, there is only one shelter. And when you really reach out, when you feel that deep and you reach out deep, then the warmth and the connection that you're looking for in this person, you find that person actually couldn't really deliver it anyway, but I can find it in my connection with God in my heart. We're
I
meant to
love
reach for that, right? And so
and
therefore instability is built into that. You wander off at the end of life and search for God in the heart, you know?
there is a beautiful there's a beauty in the brokenness of
Yeah.
this story. In the same way, if the person has a spouse that left them or broke their heart or betrayed them, or a child that went astray or died, or a spouse that died, or a because when there's a break in what seems should be like materially solid, when there's a break, it's such an obvious, at least through our lens, it's an obvious reality check that get it. You thought this was eternal love. You thought this was an eternal friendship. You thought this was an eternal bond. Just see the material world. There's no eternality here.
Yeah.
Everything is temporary. So when something happens, which is a unnatural break, it's actually a blessing. It's giving you, it foreshadows reality. Whereas real intimacy, when it's really good in the material world, incredibly loving, sweet relationships, a loving family, those bonds are very deep and they're very difficult to break, especially at the time of death when we just want Krishna. We have to just be focused on Krishna. So that deep attachment that you might have if she was the mother that really showed up, um, it wouldn't be sometimes those good bonds are not a blessings, as Tara would say. When it's good, it's bad. So that is a
Bad is good.
that could be a very big blessing. And I would immediately shake it off. I was joking earlier about becoming the private eye. I'd shake it off and say, you know what?
Sorry about that.
I would shake it off. You know what? She doesn't want it. That makes detachment much easier. You know, that makes
Yeah,
detachment much easier. Why are we
really.
trying to rekindle attachments that has never been there?
Right. Yeah, we have to try to take whatever our circumstances, we have to try to use it as an advantage in our spiritual life. So if we get emotional and, stability, then let's use that as an advantage. And if we get instability, then we have to use that as an advantage, you know? And
Yeah,
so
yeah, I like that.
and it's yeah, so here's, there's a yearning in you, there's a longing in you, Neil. Now, you can feel that longing. That longing, it can either be a total distraction or it can be turned and aimed right in the exact direction it needs to go. And that
Mm-hmm.
longing can become that longing can become the deepest spiritual connection that you have, right? If it's misdirected, it becomes the biggest distraction. And if
Mm.
it's properly directed, it's your momentum to take you towards connecting to the feet of Krishna, connecting, ultimately to Krishna prema. So
Love that.
yeah, I think in one sense, sure, it's easy for me to say. um I'm not in your situation, but it would seem to me like, oh, take that longing and say, Krishna, I don't know why, what I've done in previous lives that made me, that that brought me into this world in this way, where I didn't have a direct connection to my birth mother. And even 60 years into my life, I felt a longing for that deep in me, a calling for that. But I know that what I'm really need, the shelter that I'm really looking for, the love that I'm really looking for, is in you.
Mm.
So please let that longing in me connect me with you.
Right.
That's turn it to take what's a disadvantage or a distraction, turn it into an advantage, and let the momentum of that, let the power of that. We don't have to snuff out our emotions. We just have to get them well directed. In bhakti.
Nice.
Yeah,
A good answer. Good question too.
good
On the message
question.
board, Narayani was also adopted.
Yeah, she said
Mm.
her experience was different.
Yeah. I'm sure it is.
But,
Because we're all different and we're all going to react to it in a different way.
Yeah.
Some people are like, I've got to find them no matter what I do. You're not my real mother, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to hear a crazy Christian? It's not really a Krishna miracle, but it's just a cool Krishna story.
Okay.
Can I share one with you?
Please share.
I don't know if you remember this really nice lady who doesn't live that
Oh.
far from me called Nikki Haas. Do you know Nikki Haas? She's
Of course,
a really
I
good.
remember Nikki. Yeah.
Remember Nikki Haas? Yeah, she's cool.
I remember the last time I saw Nikki. The last time I was with her was the night of the flower festival, and I remember she had to leave. She attended the flower fest, and then she had to leave like right after it. I remember the tears in her eyes when she left, and I'll never forget that moment. She kind of worked her way into my heart forever from that moment.
She's such a special lady, and we're doing a retreat together at the farm this year in September.
Oh.
But I was on the phone with her, and she was just like, I've got such a crazy story. I was like, well, what's your story? She goes, well, I did your 300-hour in India. By the way, she's always talking about Krishna, about Bhakti, about this and that. And, it's been about 3 years or maybe 4 years since that training she did. And I haven't really hung out with her that much.
It's probably longer.
Like 6 years.
Yeah.
6 years, perhaps. But, I'm talking to her like we've been hanging out yesterday. And she's just like so grateful for this 300-hour training. I got so much out of that. It meant so much to me. It changed everything. I said, yeah, like, how did you get into that? She goes, I signed up for it thinking that the Bhakti-yoga cultural immersion, I thought that was the name of your school. I had no idea what I was getting into. So at first, as soon as I got there, I was like, wait a second, what's going on? She didn't understand anything about where she was, what she was doing. And she said, it was the greatest mistake I ever made. That was her quote. The most beautiful, greatest mistake I ever made, because I fell in love with Krishna after that training.
Amazing.
Isn't that a cool story?
Yeah, I tell you, Raghunath, I remember that moment. I remember when she was crying, having to just, to leave and then get on a taxi and go straight to the airport. But her crying, the tears that she was shedding, I knew that those were genuine tears of like separation from Krishna's devotees, and
Sure.
and gratitude for all that she had experienced. And I never forgot that. And like I say, she worked her way right into my heart. I'll never forget her.
Great memory.
Moment.
Lord Pag says 2018. Lord Pag was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of these things, like, some people are so ripe when you just hit them with some transcendental knowledge, they're like, that makes 100% 100% sense.
Yeah.
I've been waiting to hear this. And some people, they gotta like struggle with it for a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, or maybe it just will never make sense. But some people, they're just like so ripe to hear transcendental sound. It's such interesting karma when you meet somebody like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Anyway, thought you'd appreciate that. You got a good memory too, my friend.
I remember Nikki. Okay,
Hi.
we ready?
Yeah. Hi, this
Who's
is
this
an
from?
anonymous. This is from an anonymous other. I have, so if you want to write in anonymously, you can do that as well. And even if like we know your name, because maybe the email or something, unless you write it from somebody else's email, we know. We are not going to blow your cover. Okay. Hi, this is an anonymous other. I have been having problems with ADHD most of my life.
What
and
is
I know
ADHD?
Attention deficit.
You got distracted?
What? Who are you? I thought it was just hyperactivity disorder most of my life. And I know the consensus on what ADHD is, or if it is unclear, and there's a spectrum. So I'm going to say that for me, it means not remembering things I knew, not being able to organize myself, even though I tried many systems and they worked for a while, but only maximum for 2 weeks.
Okay.
I squirrel out of control in conversations regularly without realizing it. Through time and practice.
Is this question coming from, are you the anonymous writer for this?
I can't say who this is from.
Is it
All I
coming
can
from
say
you?
is me and Jiva G Me and Jiva G really sympathize with you because we're the two most ADHD people that we know.
I squirrel out
So
of control.
we're going to start a little sage group of the ADHD, but we
Squirrel
would
group.
do it, but we'd all forget to go there. We'd all forget to show up. I thought it was yesterday. Who changed it? Who's in the group? I squirrel out of control in conversations regularly without even realizing it. Through time and practice, it did get better though. But yeah, you guessed it. I digress a lot. Even writing this email with some focus to keep the topic at bay is kind of exhausting. And that's the tip of the iceberg, let me tell you. Mood swings are a thing, so are overreactions to some minor incidents.
Okay.
There's even a technical term for this phenomenon, and I can't remember the name. A chattery mind, forgetting things I set out to do, to distractions. It seems like normal stuff when I write it down, but people need to understand this is not sometimes happens kind of thing. This is a most of the times burden for me and my surroundings, especially when the overwhelm kicks in and I can't do anything. It takes all my willpower to do the simplest things. It gets really hard and even dark at times, and it's been affecting my ability to do sadhana in any shape or form. I can do 16 rounds for a month and it's amazing, but then I drop down to 1 at best. And I take months to get back up to more than 4. Before I knew it, ADHD, I kind of beat my before I knew it was ADHD, I kind of beat up myself about it. And at least I know what it is now. So I've been reading Srila Prabhupada's books and on and off for some 6 years now. And I've been listening to the podcast too. My question is, okay, brain is legitimately broken in some way. Wrecked. I can make some reparations with a corresponding lifestyle to help mitigate some or most of my issues. But is that not the Bhakti yogi way? Should I just let it go and let God, or should I try to make myself a better instrument for God? Where's the line? I know Srila Prabhupada prioritized health so we can serve better. Does this fall into that category? Do I work on my body to heal, or do I just surrender to God's plan? I'm in a good phase now, but sometimes it just gets tough. Feels hard seeing yourself as you constantly disappoint everyone around you, and you really can't help it most of the times. Sometimes it just takes over. Sorry. Much appreciation and love, everyone trying to heal the world. All the best in the new year. Anonymous via email. So they're still talking about their ADHD, right?
Yes.
That's their big. Yeah. Well, I can say I'm a card-carrying member of the ADHD club. I'll do things like start cleaning a bedroom, find a shoe, bring it to the shoe room, start clean, and then just stay in the shoe room. Oh, I gotta clean the shoe room. And while I'm in the shoe room, I find a hat. Bring that over to the hat box. Look for a hat box. That's got me looking through the garage for boxes.
I need to go out and buy a hat.
I gotta clean the. I'm serious, man. Cleaning one thing, I'm cleaning 6 things, and none of it gets done. It's exhausting. It's exhausting, and social media doesn't help. Scrolling doesn't help. But I will say that chanting japa is so good for my mind. It's actually a super duper blessing because especially sitting and chanting, because you're forced not to do anything but sit. I'll try sitting, standing, walking around, but then I got to be like, nope, time to sit down. You know, I think for the ADHD, I don't think walking and chanting helps me either. I think it's good for me and minds like mine to sit and chant. Jiva, my cohort in ADHD. By the way, I got a text message from Mike Judge today, looking at the Mike from the band Judge. He looked at a picture of the Bhakti Recovery podcast. He goes, "Is that Gwen?
Is that Gwen?
Man, that is Gwen, isn't it? She's a Krishna." So anyway, so Jiva's got it best. You know what she does for chanting japa? She plays a lecture. Ever hear those japa cassettes of Prabhupada or Satchidananda Swami or Radhanath Swami just chanting japa? And that helps her hold her mind. But for me, it's just like sitting in a place and chanting. So I think Krishna Bhakti is especially good for holding the mind. Mantras are good to hold the mind, to still the mind, to control the mind. That's what we have to do. And what'll happen is the mantras make the mind peaceful. You know, they make the mind steady, they make the mind sober. What do you think about that, Costume?
You know, the question reminds me a little bit of the previous question. It's similar. It has to do with, you know, my mind is not peaceful because I'm yearning for a mother's love, you know, recognition. My mind is not peaceful because I have ADHD. There's so many different circumstances in this world which give us a disturbed mind. As a matter of fact, isn't it? The very beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, it mentions, does it not, that in this age, what is it, Manda Sumanda Matiyo, Manda Bhagyu Padruta, that
Mind is always disturbed.
that there's so many problems with this age, and we all have so many issues. We're dented in so many ways, and above all, our minds are always disturbed. And so you have a condition. I don't really know what ADHD is exactly. Like what causes it? You know, how you know, how does it manifest? You know, is it in the brain synapses or something like that? I don't really know.
Probably over stimulus,
Maybe, yeah. I don't know what
and then
causes
we
it.
exacerbate it with.
Yeah, but the symptoms, as you're explaining them, I recognize them. And so your questions are good questions. I don't think we have exact answers for those questions, because I think those are questions that need to be dealt with on an individual basis. Like if I'm 80 years old and I have ADHD, it's one thing. If I'm 15 years old, it might be another thing, you know, like depending on what opportunity there is to improve it, for instance, right? The questions seem to kind of be getting at, should I just accept it and work with it? Should I fight it so that you know, I'll have a better instrument, you know, to engage in bhakti? I think either one of those can be a valid approach. You know, it's something that you know, you can talk with your doctor or whatever experts know about this, and determine, you know, if you can overcome it in some way, you know, improve it in some way, that's a good thing. Of course, it's going to make it easier for you to concentrate. It's going to make it easier for you to read and so on. But again, if it's going to be a disadvantage that you have to live with, then take that disadvantage and turn it into an advantage. You know, find because I've shared with you, Raghunath, I've shared on the show that I don't know if I have some kind of clinical, you know, case of something like ADHD.
You do. You got it.
Okay. Well, but I do find that more than previously in my life, I have a difficult time focusing my mind on one thing for a long time. And so, you know, I do. Yeah. So like, for instance, if I'm studying, I commonly will study something for like 20 minutes or half an hour at a time and then switch to another subject.
Oh.
You know, like if I want to study for like an hour and a half or 2 hours, sometimes I find I need to kind of flip it, you know, to keep the mind engaged, which is distressing to me that, you know, that I'm that weak. But you do what you have to do. Oh, someone's calling that the Pomodoro technique. You take lots of breaks, right? You can set a timer. So you know, I don't know the answer to our questioner's question. You know, here's what they wrote. They wrote, okay, my brain is legitimately wrecked in some way. I can make some reparations with a corresponding lifestyle to help mitigate some or most of my issues. But is that not the Bhakti-yoga way? No, that can totally be the Bhakti-yoga way. If you feel it's effective and you're responding to it, and it's making it easier for you to remember Krishna, right? Easier for you to absorb your mind in Krishna, then great. Then they went on to say, should I just let it go and let it go and let God, or should I try to make myself a better instrument for God? Where is the line? You have to figure out where that line is. I can't figure out that line. But the principle you want to keep in mind is that somehow, we spoke about this yesterday, right? Somehow or other, whether it's constantly watching 10-minute clips about Krishna, whether it's reading, you know, different books 5 minutes each, whatever, chanting one round and then running around the block and coming down and chanting another, whatever it is, somehow or other, you find the way that helps you bring your mind to Krishna in a favorable mood. And whatever this disadvantage is, try to somehow turn it into your advantage. Work with it. That might mean improving it. It might mean living with it. Either way is the Bhakti Yoga way. That was the question, right? But is that not the Bhakti Yogi way? The Bhakti Yogi way is we adapt whatever we have to do so that we can remember Krishna in a favorable mood. That's the Bhakti Yogi way.
Love it. Yeah. I went through a period where I started to try to medicate my ADHD because I was told it was interfering with my life. But you know what? I didn't like the feeling of being medicated, and I felt like it crushed something. There was a positive about my ADHD also. There was something good about it, something creative about it, that to medicate it down, it killed a part of my gift.
Your gift to the
My
world.
gift.
You
I'm
were meant to
gifted.
bring squirrels into the world. Beautiful squirrels.
Yeah.
Fluffy squirrels.
It's a gift. Some people can call that a gift.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't want to medicate a Raghu.
Who would want a boring old Ragu? That's very, very functional. Okay. The world is always trying to give us a label and tell us what we have, diagnose us, give it a name so they can sell us a drug for it. I'm not into it.
All right.
Okay.
Next question.
Yes, sir.
Who's it from?
This is from Sherry-Yannick.
There you go.
Sherry-Yannick. Live with us now.
Kitchen right now.
Oceanside, California. I believe in being very open with my 5-year-old daughter, and as my grandma, 99 years old, wow, 100 in June, we have had conversations about death.
Okay.
I explained reincarnation for her, and she kind of likes the idea of it. She finds it comforting that we're connected in future and past lives. However, maybe it's too early to introduce the concept to her. She's really struggling. I want you to be my mama in my next life. We found a dead rabbit in our driveway this morning, and she was really sad, but said, it won't have a next life because it's a rabbit. I tried to explain that all beings have next lives, but she's confused. Should I not bring this up anymore? Or do you have a better way to explain this to my daughter, who is kind of wild, but really loves offering shells and flowers to Krishna? I recently did research on children's understanding of death for work, and it seems children her age supposedly can't really comprehend death. So maybe I made a big mistake offering deeper details. I appreciate any insight. I think, Kostuba,
Yeah.
I'm no child psychiatrist, although people sometimes tell me that I am. Mara's laughing. When you hear these gory Grimm's Brothers stories, they always have some gory story. I mean, they put the witch in the stove. It's sort of like when you hear those stories, it's just like when we read the child reads the Ramayana and hear the comic books. They don't comprehend the death in the same way we comprehend death. That's what I've understood. So they don't understand all the nuances or intricacies of what death actually is. But I think they can understand the basics. The rabbit's not here anymore. I think it should be explained. I like the idea that telling a child spirit isn't everything and everything is eternal and it just changes form. And and you could have been my child. You could have been my parent in a previous life. But in this life, I'm your daddy or your mama. I think it's okay to understand. I don't think they're completely blacked out to the idea of death. It's just they just might miss the goriness of it. They have their own concept of where grandma went, etc. Great grandma went.
Well, I was thinking that, you have a lot more experience in this realm than I do. So how did that work with your own kids?
Um, I taught him the Bhagavad Gita. I taught him
At what
shlokas from the
age?
Bhagavad Gita from an early age.
From like
And
before 5?
yeah, yeah.
And they didn't seem to, maybe Cherry's kids are just, or her kid is just, maybe it's just a little bump, you know, that they're going through. A little having a little hard time putting it all together, but it's just something that it'll be good for them in the long run that they did hear about it at this age. I don't know. I'm really turning to you for experience on this one.
Well, we have, we live on a farm, so my daughter was always rescuing baby squirrels or
Yeah.
baby bunnies. She's had like 3 or 4 pets that have died in her hands. They weren't her pets, they were just rescued. They were like half eaten from a cat or
Pigeon. I
something
remember
like
the
that.
pigeon.
Remember, she had a pigeon. Yeah, that's right. She had a pigeon. She had a baby bunny, and she brought the bunny like right to the altar. This is more than one occasion. Brought the dying animal right to the altar and watched the animal leave or die.
Wow.
And we have the talks about that. I said, listen, this is the best way for this animal to die. Is dying right in front of Krishna. Well, why did it have to die? Well, everything's going to die, and it was time for this rabbit to die. I think it's sort of a good time to do it at this time of life, and to take away the mystery of it. We really hide death until there's like drastic tragedy. But I was telling you the other day, me and who was on our we were on a rickshaw coming back from some festive event in Mayapur, and we were in the back of like there's like this little rinky-dink pickup truck, and they're having a big kirtan. And who was with us? But they were like, "Ah, Harry Ball!" They were like singing with the kirtan as we drove by a truck having a kirtan. And then I was like, "Hey, dude, they're having a funeral right there."
Hmm.
And it was like 2 feet sticking out of the back of a pickup truck. Yeah, it was Jiva and Catherine were with us, and yeah, it was Jiva just like screaming and chanting. I was like, "That's their funeral. They're having a real funeral," but it was a festive funeral, and you could understand because you see the body burning, you see the body wrapped up, and there's almost like a celebration of life going on right there. We're very quick to hide stuff, sweep things up, and then tuck it away in a more what do you call it, a
Hmm.
mortuary. Yeah,
I mean, I was thinking of that. Isn't it in like uh, the Lion King? Like there's some talk about it with one
yeah.
lion is talking to the baby lion and
How
telling
do you
it.
know these things? You watch these kids' movies too, Kostuba?
I saw the Lion King.
On
I saw it
Broadway?
on Broadway. That's like one of the two things
The
I've
hell
ever
were
seen on
you
Broadway.
doing? Where the hell are you doing on Broadway? I
What,
didn't
you got
even
a
know
problem
you
with me
had a
going to
whole. I
Broadway?
didn't even know you had a material life. Okay.
I've seen two things on Broadway.
Who'd you go with? By yourself?
No, there were
That
gifts
must have
both
been weird.
times.
Huh?
In- you don't think I have any friends? What are you trying to say? You go by yourself? What do you want? Why would you even say that?
I don't know. I don't know. I said that. Well, who'd you go with?
The boss, David Dritta, brought me to the Lion King. Remember David Dritta? Did you ever meet David Dritta?
No, I don't think so.
David Dritta, who used to run the company that when I first came back to New York, he had a. Anyway, he's a nice
Any
devotee, and he took me.
nice devotee took you to the Lion King.
Yeah.
Cool.
But
All
anyway, I
right.
remember. I don't even remember it was there. I know there's a cartoon where the animals are talking like that. But yeah, it seems like I don't. I'm the wrong person to talk about like going to tell kids these kind of things. But it seems to me like when the kids start to inquire, then that's the time to start to share it. But it just has to be shared in a way that's as digestible as possible for them, simple enough.
I might have shared this before, but my big parenting win, one of my bigger parenting wins of my life was I was teaching my kids Bhagavad Gita. I think you might even know this. They had shlokas under their belt, and my ex-wife brought the kids back from a movie, and the older one, who was 9, was crying his eyes out. And I said, "Well, what's the matter?" He said, "Well, took him to this movie, and the little boy died in the movie. And it was really upsetting. I can't believe it was a children's movie." And the younger stepson grabbed me by the arm and said, I wasn't really upset. And then he quoted Dehino
Wow.
Shminyata Dehi Komaram Yovanam Jara, which is 213 from the Bhagavad Gita, as the embodied soul. And then he said it in English. I wasn't really worried when he died. As the embodied soul continuously passes in this life from childhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly enters a new body at the time of death. One who is wise is not bewildered by such a change. So I
There
wasn't
you go.
worried when he died. It's one of
There
those
you go.
things. You lodge one of these little wisdom nuggets in your head, and then when you least expect it and you need it, it just manifests.
Mm.
And so that's another big part of like studying Gita or sacred literature to give us intelligence. And when intelligence is applied, then it becomes wisdom. Then you get it, and it helps you cope with the pain of existence.
Nice, Raghunath.
Teach the Bhagavad Gita. Fathering win. I got
Shall
a
we,
lot of
take on-
follow. I got a lot of fathering fails too, but I'll hold
Okay.
those for
That
later.
was a win. That was a win.
That was a win.
Should we take one more on? One more
Yeah,
question?
this is from Frankly Tomo. That's their
Frankly
name,
Tomo.
Frankly? Frankly?
That's what it says.
Or is it Frankly? This is Tomo here.
Frank could go either way.
Mara, is it Frankly Tomo or is it Frankly?
This one had come from
comma,
Mara. You know where I
Tomo?
picked this up? I picked this up on Facebook. Someone wrote this question in on yesterday's show.
Gotcha. Okay. If we are building our lives for the future, how is it best to process the elements of our lives now that we may feel cursed to have? What? If we are building our lives now for the future, how is it best to process the elements of our lives now
That we
that
may
we
feel cursed to have. In other words, if our goal is to improve ourselves so that we're functioning better in the future, which I would say is consistent with our bhakti practice, then there's certain elements in our lives right now that may feel like they're curses. How do you process them so that you keep moving towards that brighter future?
like we said earlier, the curses in bhakti oftentimes are the blessings. Our shortcomings are my desire for fame, and I didn't get it. My desire for beauty and for attracting people, it's not happening. My desire to get money, it's not working. All these things are material curses. But when embraced, they all become blessings. I say, oh, I get it. That good karma would have been such a diversion. Fame, beauty, wealth, they can be such diversions from my spiritual path. So that's, what do you think? Do you think that hits it on the head there, sir?
Well, I do. I think that the way that a bhakti yogi sees the world, you could say essentially there's two ways to see the world, right? That everything is random or that everything has meaning, right? And so the bhakti yogis, the faith is that everything has meaning, that everything that happens in our life is meaningful. And if you can understand something about that meaning, then everything becomes a stimulus for, potential stimulus for growth, right? And so if that's the case, then the bhakti yogi is saying, okay, behind whatever's coming my direction in this world, I actually have the faith that this world is moving in such a way that it's always favorable. Right. It can always be seen as favorable. It can always be applied favorably towards my evolution, right? My evolution to prema, my evolution to divine love.
Right.
That means the pleasant things and the unpleasant. And, it doesn't take us long to realize, that it's really the unpleasant things that tend to be the more powerful stimuluses, that tend to be the stimulus for deeper thought, the stimulus for a reconsideration, the stimulus for breaking out of the mud that we're stuck in. It's those curses in life. And again, we've been talking about them today. It may be my
Yeah.
ADHD. It may be the fact that I was born, without the connection to my birth mother. It may be, and then I have an internal longing for that is present here 60 years later in my life. It may be so many things. I believe that almost most essentially what we call wisdom has so much to do with exactly this, that rather than lamenting, rather than complaining, rather than working like an idiot to try to shift things that I'm incapable of shifting, or I shifted and then something else shifts and I'm right back where I was. Wisdom means I can accept it and grow through it, learn from it and grow through it.
Mm.
And so if there are aspects in our lives that seem like, feel like, look like they're curses, the wise person has a way of seeing them as a blessing.
Mm.
The wise person has the way of seeing, like, this is what I need. And that process, it's like a melancholy that one feels in life. Like it can feel like a deep melancholy that's like really healthy. Like
Right.
like
Right. Yes. It's like a deep sadness. Like, okay, I'm not gonna. And if you weren't a devotee, it's hard to really apply it. So by being a devotee, you can really apply it, and it can stir in your heart.
Yeah.
And you can see some light in there too. Otherwise, the material world seems like, it's not fair. I tried so hard. I didn't get what I wanted. I can't believe her or him. Otherwise, the material world is filled with lots of bitterness. A lot of a lot of like, that's not fair. How dare they? Or why me? That is a big one of the material world. These are the mantras of the materialist. But
Right.
sitting with loss, with betrayal, with heartbreak, with tragedy, and applying wisdom to it, it's like a long, slow burn to freedom almost.
Yeah, like I'd imagine. Let's look at your role as a parent too. Right? Let's look at it from like the viewpoint of a parent. Imagine, Raghunath,
Mhm.
let's say your child was involved in a relationship that you felt was unhealthy, but their
Yeah.
attachment was deep, and then you could see that your child became disappointed, like that person left your child, and it sent your child into a deep kind of melancholy about it. There was the pain of loss. But as a parent, you might even feel like this is exactly the medicine that the child needs. We're trying to help them understand what the issue was. They weren't able to see it. Now they're seeing it themselves and they're experiencing it, and the experience is going deep, right? It's going deep, into the blood, into the bones, into the marrow. It's so that the child's learning something that'll be valuable and something they'll never forget, something that will help them grow. And I think these things in life, those curses in life, usually they have to do with relationships, or circumstances around our relationships. They seem like curses, but that melancholy, that may be the most potent medicine. If you don't
Mm.
wallow in it, but you go through it, you feel it, but as you're going through it, you're reflecting on truth. That becomes a really potent medicine.
Those stormy seas make better sailors.
Yes,
Mm?
they do. That's Stormy. Nice, nice. You and your nautical analogies. I
Oh, Krishna.
think we're done for the day.
That's it.
We're back
This is the
tomorrow.
place. This is the place where Prabhupada just got on the boat.
You got to go to that
Prabhupada
Ulta
got on.
Dunga.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not gonna.
I'm not gonna do that, but yeah, I should do that sometime. Thanks for the recommendation.
All right.
What else should I do on here? Yeah, I appreciate it.
You might be right near where you are. You probably,
Yeah, it's probably not. But it's amazing. It's amazing. Like, here was Prabhupada. Prabhupada left Calcutta, took a boat. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Not even from Mumbai, which would have been easier probably. He had to go
he went to
around the
Calcutta.
tip of India.
He went around the tip of India, then he stopped in Sri Lanka, picked up his books because that's where his books were printed.
Oh, really? I missed that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. And then he
Wow.
went from there.
Woo. Okay.
Jaladuta Diary. It's all there.
Wow. Okay, Miss Mara, that's it, I think. Do I hit this?
That's it.
Hit this
yeah.
magic button?
So we're
That was
back
it.
tomorrow
Everybody
at
enjoyed.
6 a.m. Eastern.
Can we do it later?
Can we do it later?
Yeah, no, can we do it later?
If you're asking me, or
I would
ask
prefer to do it
Mr.
later. Do you mind doing it at 8 o'clock? Or
Alright.
what time is it? No,
Yeah, 8 a.m. Eastern
6
time,
8 a.m. Eastern time.
6:30 India time.
You
Just
wanna do it
cuts
8
into my
a.m. on-
whole.
That's
Let's
tough
do
for
that.
a lot of people. How about
Professor
seven?
Snook
Good for
says
the
it's a great
West
idea.
Coast people.
West Coasters, it's very good. Let's try it till we get to go.
Okay.
Krishna Bolo Jai. So see you tomorrow at 8 a.m.
Back with the Bhagavatam.
Huh? Back in the Bhagavatam. Back diving into that transcendental, magical book. It's a quite magical, emotional wisdom. It's the wisdom bat. Bunks you right on the head. Bengal.
Bengal, just throw that out there.
Bengal. We're here in Bengal.